Google finally nailed it with the Pixel 9 Pro XL. I'm assuming the Pixel 9 Pro, I'll have mine in a couple of weeks, but I've been using this phone for close to about a week now, and they did everything that I wanted them to do. And I think they addressed a lot of the serious issues that we've had with the last couple of phones. Of course, I'm probably the most critical person whenever it comes to Pixel phones, but I also give credit where credit's due. And over the last year, there's things I said they needed to fix. And the three key things I've said for the longest time, they need to fix battery, heat, and the modem. They fix those. And so much so, I've been testing this out for the last couple of days on standby time. Like, we know that this phone will get all day battery. Like, this phone will get all day battery, no problem. Everybody's saying that. I've been experiencing that. But standby time was a serious issue. It was a big problem with the Pixel 7. It was somewhat of a problem with the Pixel 8. And it was always a moving target because, like, they'd fix it one month, the next month it would have problems again. The standby time on this phone has been phenomenal. So I'm just going to read you off a statistic here. Well, it's not a statistic, it's a percentage rather. So I'm at 60% battery right now, which is fine because I took this phone off the charger 2 days ago, 2.5 days ago, actually. So I've got 2.5 hours of screen on time, and I pulled this phone off the charger, yeah, like on Sunday. So I've been using this phone for almost 3 days without plugging it in, and it's still at 60% battery with 2.5 hours of screen on time. Now, yesterday was 80%, but I've been using this phone on and off, on and off. I've got my primary SIM card in it, and I've been carrying it around, using it kind of just to see how long I can stretch this battery out. And it's not a phone that's going to have to be charged every day. I mean, I hate saying that because I think you should charge your phone every day. I charge my phone every day. And I was actually watching a video my buddy Mark's Tech put out, which if you follow him, great guy. If you don't follow him, go follow his channel, Mark's Tech. And congratulations to him because he proposed to his girlfriend who said yes. So now he has a fiance, and he took some pictures with the Pixel 9 Pro XL while they were out. But anyway, great guy. Best of luck to him and his future bride. But yeah, he was talking about how, he tests the phone battery differently when he's testing a phone than when he does in normal day-to-day life, right? Why do we do that? Because we're trying to figure out how long the battery will last, if we can kill it. Most people don't use their phone 8 hours in one day, right? Even I have a hard time getting to 8 hours. And I mean, I do it on occasion, but for me, a normal day is about 5.5 to 6 hours. And I've always, for years and years and years, ever since the Pixel 4, I made the statement. And I said, I need 6 hours. 6 hours of screen on time is the magical mark for me. If I can get 6, I won't complain too much. Like, if I can get 6, that'll get me through my day till I get to a charger. Most people, I think, are about the 3-hour ballpark. Anyway, this one will get all day battery life without question. That's not a problem. But the standby time seems to be a lot better. So that's just something I wanted to share. Standby time seems to be better. The cameras, I think, are good. They fixed everything that I kind of wanted them to fix. We still don't have Android 15 though. We're still waiting on that. I mean, as much as there's glowing criticism and praise for these phones, there's also some bad things, right? Like, not happy about the 128 gigabytes of storage, especially when it starts off at $1,000 or $1,099. I mean, yes, it can get away with it, but I think more forward looking, especially for a phone that's officially supported for 7 years, they should have had that, right? It should have UFS 4 across the board, and I still can't get a confirmed number on this. So at first, from what I was reading, because I have to read this, like, Google doesn't send me a thing saying, here's all the stuff. Like, I have to scour the internet for hours and hours trying to make sure I'm giving you the most up-to-date information. So when I first was reading, it said no UFS 4. Everything's UFS 3.1 still. I'm like, okay, well, it's still to have US 3.1. And so I said that, and then someone's like, oh, no. Only the 128s, which is not something we haven't seen before. They did this with the Samsung phone. I think it was the S23. I think the S23, the 128 model, was 3.1. Anyway, but we've seen this before with other phones. So that's not that crazy. So then I was like, okay, well, the 128 models are 3.1, but the 256 and higher maybe are 4. I still can't confirm this. Why can't I confirm this? Because Google doesn't like to talk about it. It takes forever to get this stuff updated because Google's like, here's our new stuff. But to get to the root of it, to find out exactly what it is, like, somebody's gonna have to disclose this later. Like, they won't do it. So anyway, they're trying to be Apple in some ways. And this is, I gotta say, probably the best alternative. to the iPhone. And I don't think people look at Samsung as an alternative to iPhone. I think that they look at that as like a breakup phone. That's like the get back girlfriend or boyfriend. They go, okay, I'm tired of Apple. I'm going to Samsung. And then they get to Samsung and they're like, yeah, it's amazing for like 2 weeks. And then they're like, man, I wish I had my iPhone back. I think more people that are serious about moving from the iPhone, I think most people look at the iPhone, at the Pixel phone as more of an alternative. And I think the Pixel has positioned themselves really well for that because it looks almost like an iPhone, right? And everybody's talking about that. Who cares? Whatever. I said the same thing about Samsung. I said the same thing about the Galaxy Buds Pro 3. Yes, that design looks kind of like the AirPods, but one, who cares? Two, there's only so many stinking ways you can design a phone. Right now, flat sides are in. This is nothing new. We've seen it with purses for generations. We see it with jewelry. We see it with watches. One style people like, so then people will adopt that until something changes. So yes, it looks like an iPhone, but I think I like the build quality better than an iPhone. And Google did something really smart. So Samsung, okay, we got titanium. iPhone, we got titanium. No titanium here, which means we're not having those glaring heat issues and heat retention problems like the iPhone is having. And I haven't experienced overheating problems with the camera for the first time using a Pixel phone since like the Pixel 4. The Pixel 5a, Pixel 4a, 5G, like nobody really cared, but it was overheating. And then the Pixel 5, the Pixel 6, there is a legacy here, like a very frustrating legacy when it comes to tensor chips and when it comes to Pixel phones. They have a propensity for overheating whenever they're outside, especially in like 90-degree weather. So I haven't experienced that. I even recorded sitting in my car, like I had the air on, but it was very, very, very low because I didn't want to pick up on the microphone. But yeah, my iPhone in the same setting was having overheating problems, and my iPhone overheats all the time within like 3-4 minutes when I go outside when it's hot, which if you don't live in Texas, you probably don't experience that like I do. Or if you're not in Nevada or California, if you live in Minnesota, you're probably like, hey, what are you talking about? But man, I was going to try and do a Minnesota accent, but I can't. No offense to you guys. I've just never tried it, and I don't want to come off sounding dumber than I normally sound, so I'm not going to try a Minnesota accent. But I did deploy with some Minnesota guys before, and they had definitely had like definitive accents. But anyway, this is like not poking fingers at anybody. I was going to try it for a second. I'm like, I can't do this. So yeah, if you're in a more northern tier, colder climate, you probably have less heat issues, but many of the things I think they fixed here. And one big thing, so I made a video about this a couple months ago, if you saw it, where I was talking about, okay, Samsung, Apple, and Google had the highest rate of people leaving their platform, right? So there was some poll that people did, and I think it was over 50% of people that had a Pixel phone in that poll were like, I'm going to not buy a Pixel phone for my next phone, where that number was lower with Samsung, with Apple. And I was like, this is a serious problem. And I think this phone is going to fix that finally, because the phone has been so good in my experience so far, only about a week, but build quality better, feels more premium, nice experience. The Tensor 4, it seems to be really, really good, at least from what I've done. I know it still is not going to be the best in the world for running Genshin Impact or Call of Duty. It will run them on high settings, but it will not be as fluid as you're going to get with an S24 Ultra, which the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 is better for gaming, but this is better for AI. Do you care about AI? And I still don't think we're at a point where it's really meaningful in anybody's life. There's cool stuff in here. Like, there's cool stuff, without a doubt. But is it necessary stuff? Is it very helpful stuff? And in some cases it is. In some cases it's more novelty. And I think as each year goes by, we're moving further away from the gimmick and novelty factor, but they still throw some of that stuff in there. Like this whole add me photo thing. Yeah, it's cool, but how much you're going to use it and how good is it, right? It's okay. It has its limitations. But when you look at something like a live translate, you look like an interpreter mode, like with Samsung, you look at things like that. Those are very helpful. And they're also very contextually based, right? So some people like the Pixel Studio stuff. Some people like to be able to make these photos. That's cool. It's great. You can do it for free. But then for me, like with the live translation stuff, whenever I use my Samsung phone, when I travel, the interpreter function is huge for me. Like, I'm going to Germany next week. I will for sure be using it. I used it when I was in Paris back in March. I just gave my S24 series phone to my brother who went on a business trip to Hong Kong and Vietnam. It had both of those languages. He was able to navigate much better while he was over in those countries. So there's a lot of stuff that AI is doing, especially on device AI, which is perfect because when you travel, you may not necessarily have the best phone connection, right? So there is stuff becoming very useful in the AI frontier. And I really wish that Google would have used AI to say how much storage do we need in our phone. Maybe I'll ask that question sometime. But I think they should have gone 256. If you have a Pro phone at this stage of the game, almost 2025, you really need 256. But I think that Google's done a really good job here on limiting their liabilities, getting away from a lot of the problems they had. They recognized that the heat was a tremendous issue this last go around, especially with that 2 primary core Tensor 3. Got the vapor chamber now. And then so many things are on par. Like we know they have industry leading cameras. They're top of the top. They're very good. But then there's other little things like, oh, well, the charging speed. Yeah, we bumped it up a little bit. It's still not as good as most competitors, but it's still better than Apple. And people don't recognize that. A lot of people are like, oh, well, it's 45 watts in the S24 Ultra. Yeah, but it's also 20 watts in the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So I think they're kind of in the middle there where it's just above criticism, but still not quite where most tech enthusiasts would like it to be. But they did make at least some sort of an effort, right? And then we have Gorilla Glass Victus 2, that's great. Ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, that's fantastic. We still have the only Android phones that can use facial recognition for banking apps because of the Tensor chip and because of the Titan security chip and all those different things. So there are things here that really have bumped up. Even you look at the brightness, 3000 nits brightness now. That the screen on here is glaringly bright, especially that 2000 nits maximum manual brightness, not just the peak. Because everybody's like, oh, 3000 nits. Not nobody, but most people don't see that all the time. And if you do, you got to have auto brightness on. Me, I like to crank up my brightness all the time. And this sucker, this is on max brightness, by the way. That's probably why I'm going to go blind at 50. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoy being able to manually adjust mine. I like full control over my brightness. But anyway, phone is very good. They fixed a lot of the stuff. I think it's going to be better for the platform moving forward. And they also got it out before the iPhone. And that was one thing I've been saying for years. Most people buy an iPhone in the United States. It's like 80% or something. It's not that high. But I mean, they sell over 80 million phones a year. Whereas you look like the S24 Ultra and it's going to sell like 20 million. So the iPhones sell a lot more phones. In the United States, iPhone is king. Still, globally, Android, I believe, is king. But the iPhone, it is king here in the United States. So that's what a lot of these companies kind of need to look at and kind of need to take some of that market share away. And when you put your phone out, and it has questionable things. A lot of people go, oh, it's got a Tensor. Oh, it's a Google phone. Oh, yeah. All these different things, whatever, because it's snobbery. It's not an iPhone, whatever. But when you put it out after the iPhone, it's an afterthought. It's like, oh, I saw the standard. Maybe it doesn't look too much. I'll wait till next year. Oh, yeah, the Pixel phone, that's cool. When you put it out first, it makes people look at it a lot harder. It makes people look at this and go, you know what? Maybe I could get that whenever I'm eligible for my upgrade next month. Maybe I could try and switch from that. It looks good. It looks premium. Everybody's saying good things about it. So I think that it was really smart. So I think this is probably the best launch that they've had, other than the supply issues, right? We're still waiting. The Pixel 9 Pro is not here. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which I'm not even going to get into that right now because I have negative feelings about that. But anyway, I'm going to talk more about that later. But when you look at the Pixel 9, the 9 Pro XL, getting off on a good foot, I think they're in a good place here to maybe, even if they can get 1%, if they can grab 1 more percent of the market share, that's a big positive step because they're only like 3-4%. Unless you go to like Japan where they're much, much, much higher, which I don't know. Maybe somebody from Japan is watching this in English and can tell me why people like it so much over there. But apparently the Pixel phones are very popular in Japan. Anyway, I think they're going to make some inroads with this. I think that they'll probably make some people switch over, and not like millions and millions, but if they can get a couple 100,000 people to switch over, bump up their market share percentage 1%, that's a huge success. And then also, they're still mostly leading with AI. And I say mostly because I think that one of the reasons the keynote was very short on the AI is because Android 15 is not here yet, but they're still way ahead of Apple. And a lot of the stuff, everyone's like, oh, Apple Intelligence is coming. And then you hear the other scuttlebutt that's like, oh, well, maybe it might not be online until this spring, right? And they're already 2 years behind everybody else. So we'll see. I mean, AI is ramping up. Google's in a good spot. They've got their Tensor G4 that can handle 45 tokens per second. That's a lot whenever it comes to handling AI tasks and stuff like that, right? I've got a Ryzen 9 AI-based chipset in the laptop I got that can only do like 45 tokens per second. So to be able to do that in here is good. And don't talk to me about the benchmarks. Like, I don't care. I am so tired talking about benchmarks. Are not what you're going to use for your data usage. It's not something that will define or even outline your experience you will get with the phone. That's something where they run this balls to the wall, 100%, try and tax this processor as hard as they can possibly do, which is almost impossible to duplicate in a real world environment. And you still got over a 3 gigahertz processor, 3 gigahertz over that. And they bumped up the processing speed on the mid cores and the efficiency cores. You're gonna be all right. Anyway, so that's all I got. If you have any questions or comments, please go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. I may even try to get some more shirts if y'all watch enough videos. Anyway, somebody was making a comment about my shirt today and it looks all chewed up. Look, the reason the collar looks like this is because of the stupid microphone. But the microphone was to make the video sound good for y'all. So I can't make everybody happy. If you like it, watch it. If you don't like it, go watch somebody else who's going to sell you some story. Or watch Mark's Tech, or watch Flossie. Great guys. Anyway, that's all I got. So as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.